Yes, Sanbanani, Dumalang Molweni, Mzansi Africa. Welcome to your #1 youth show in the land, Expressions. Well, with high rate of unemployment among the youth in South Africa, many are moving abroad for work opportunities. But while many are excited about making imali, being paid in dollars and euros, social media has been flooded with posts from those who say they are going through the most. When Aliyema from allegations of abuse, unfair labor practices, financial problems, mental health, kuningi, and it gets kuningia. Dumloge unonkanyezi kalubisi umadlongoti.
Kaskakhulu nonkanyezi nacho Mzansi Africa, and of course I am Uliyema Vumisa. Great to have you this la uhlelweni Expressions. And now, as Expressions, we look at challenges and opportunities of living abroad. Now, some people may say that our country is not doing well economically, so they decide to seek for greener pastures in other countries. Is it perhaps all rosy? Kumbuzo ke lo siwubuzayo ukuthi ingabe mhlambe enough is being done to protect South African citizens living abroad? Well, recently a South African kindergarten teacher was forced to leave China following a trending video showing how her employer physically assaulted her in the video titled My Worst Year Abroad. Let's check it out.
Hello, my name is Homesickness. I'm from South Africa. I'm currently based in Shanghai, China, and I work as a kindergarten teacher. On Wednesday, August 23rd, during a disagreement, the HR manager at my job, a guy, punched me on my face. After he punched me and I was screaming, trying to get out of his office, he pushed me down on the couch, telling me that I needed to sit down. I screamed and I was trying to get my phone so I can take pictures and videos of what was happening. Instead, he grabbed my phone and said he didn't have my phone anymore. I don't know how I got out of the office, but somehow I got out. And I was running in the passage of this kindergarten trying to get help. There were various women there. All of them just watched and did nothing. I managed to run to the stairs, but by the time I got to the stairs, he was already there, and he was preventing me from going past him. I was screaming, but he was pulling me, preventing me from leaving. I don't know what came to my head, but I thought about a different exit, and I ran towards the different exit, but he was chasing me. And during the time that he was chasing me, he was singing a song, humming a song, as though to distract me in case so that I can fall and he can catch me. I managed to get out of the building, and there was another lady outside the building shouting for the securities officers to close the gate so I wouldn't get out. But what happened is the security officer made a mistake. Instead of closing the gate, he opened the gate.
Well, that is very heartbreaking to hear. Nolusindiswa Hleko uploaded a video on her YouTube page detailing her harrowing experience at a preschool in China. Now, in a 4-minute YouTube video titled My Worst Year Abroad, Hleko is seen with a swollen, and I mean really, a swollen left black eye. Now, Hleko said that in August, she got into a professional disagreement with an HR manager at a school that she was employed at in Shanghai. That's in China, of course. Now, she joins us via Zoom to share her story alongside Dr. Sanele Gumede, who is a professional youth and a career coach. Thanks for joining us, lady and gent. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for joining us as well, Dr. Sanele.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Nolusindi, so let me perhaps start with you. I just had that intro there talking about your experience, but it would perhaps make sense if we were to hear it from you yourself. How was your journey leading up to going abroad?
I've been abroad for 6.5 years. I lived in South Korea for 5.5 years, and then last year, after being in Korea for such a long time, I decided I was going to move to China. It was exciting. I grew up in a very small town in the Eastern Cape, so the whole thing was exciting for me to be the first person in my family to go abroad, to have my first international experience, to just be around people from different countries. It was amazing.
And perhaps, Dr. Sanele, of what importance can that type of emotion have on a person? I mean, to go abroad is a big deal?
It is a big deal, my brother, so much I can imagine. I haven't lived abroad, but I've visited. So it is a scary moment. I remember my recent trip to Turkey. It was quite a scary one.
And for you now, Nolosindi, so let's tap into the workplace that you embarked on. How was it? How was the reception, perhaps even from your employer in the initial stages of you having arrived there?
The reception in itself was, at first, I was in quarantine by myself, and it was 10 days. And I needed them to be very much involved in making sure that I was doing okay and making sure that I had everything that I need. But I had a sense from then onwards that they were not too involved, so I had to pretty much do everything by myself. Luckily, I worked with a very nice agent who's the one who got me the job, so she was also very hands-on in helping me. But in the actual job itself, the initial reception was great, but then I ended up almost getting deported within a month because they hadn't applied for my resident permit on time. So I got fined 9,000 RMBs, which is, I think, about 25,000 rand, but they paid for it and they took responsibility for it. But then I knew from then onwards that I was in for a rough ride.
You were
and
in
it just
for a
got worse from
ride.
there.
Just out of curiosity, you said they paid for it. I mean, who paid for that 25,000?
The job. So it was 9,000 RMB, the fine. So they said they were going to pay for 3,000 as the school. The HR guy, because he was responsible for applying for my resident permit, that he would pay 3,000 as well. And then they said I should pay 3,000 as well. But I refused because their only job was to make sure that I'm in the country legally. And the fact that they didn't wasn't my fault. So I never paid for it. That day, we were supposed to basically sign documents to dissolve my contract, which weird enough was ending the following week. And I had been at the school the day before to talk about the settlement, how much money they were going to give me in order for me to part ways and not go to any and not open any cases against them. So I went there, and the day before I signed the last page of this agreement, and they wanted my passport the following day to cancel my work permit. The following day, I go there and ask for the documents. They had both of the copies, my copy and their copy. So I go there and ask for both of the copies, and I noticed that they had changed the money that they were supposed to pay me to something else. And that's when everything kind of happened, because I had both of their agreements in my hand, and I wanted to leave, and they wouldn't let me leave. And when they wouldn't let me leave, I decided I was going to rip them apart. Yeah. And that's when this guy jumped in and he punched me.
So that was a single moment that transpired, and I'm sure there were certain other moments that were building up to that sort of, the gist of the story. But because of time, I'm going to have to cut to the chase here. Perhaps, why didn't you then decide to report the case and rather resort to venting out on social media?
I wouldn't call that venting.
Okay.
That was not me venting. Yeah. First of all, I was still in China, and anybody who lives in China will tell you it is never a good idea to expose a company while you're in the country. Yeah. I was still there, and I didn't know. Actually, I did get in contact with a journalist in South Africa during the exact day, but the only problem is he wanted to publish the story that following weekend, and I was still in China, and I did not feel safe. And so that's why I waited until I left to actually post that video.
For now, let's just pause on that conversation right there, because we have to take a quick commercial ad break, but we shall continue with this really pertinent conversation. Stay with us.
Welcome back. You are still tuning in to your #1 youth show, Expressions, right here on SABC 1 Mzansi for sure. Of course, we are still talking about abantsha abaflathela eli loMzantsi Afrika to find greener pastures in other countries. Nambuzo sobuzayo apha ekhaya kukuba, do you think enough is being done to protect South African citizens residing in other countries? Well, joining us on the show, we have Clement and Chameleng, and also Ulight Ubisi, who went abroad and stayed in different countries in Europe, and also on Zoom who is also been jet-setting around the world working as a mechanical marine engineer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for hosting us.
Linda Gutla, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm well, thanks to yourself, Sissy.
Or should I say welcome back home, because Ngoku Sekapa?
Yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to be back.
We're talking here about young people abaya kwamanye amazwe to find better opportunities. I believe nani nantingela kwelinye ilizwe. Can you just share your experiences? I'll start with you, Light.
Hi, yeah. We went to Hungary. There's a country in Central Europe called Hungary. So that's where we went to study. I was doing my master's degree in public policy and management. So that's the space that we were in.
And I mean, how would you say was the reception? Because I mean, you are in a new country, South Africa. How was different?
I think the reception was quite well. We were welcomed by the Embassy of South Africa in Hungary. And generally, the people there are very welcoming. You would understand that it's an international city. So there are a lot of people from different parts of the world. So it was quite easy for us to adjust to the environment because then these people make us feel welcomed. Yeah.
And when I look, Linda Gutle, I mean, as a first-time traveler, I mean, you traveled recently and you've been going in and around different countries. Can you just share your experience? And I mean, comparing the lifestyle here in South Africa, how was everything?
For me, when I did mechanical marine engineering, so I work on board of ships. The recent one that I was on was an oil and chemical tanker ship. So there we work with different people, with Filipinos, Russians, and all the other people there. From now, it was a learning curve. It was very nice. The people were very welcoming. I didn't experience any problems besides like academic trainings and stuff like that. But with regards to the treatment, they were very, there was equality in the workspace. It was a very positive working environment, so to say.
I mean, before we get to the Facebook comments, it looks like you guys had a positive experience in those countries, but it was unfortunate to learn about a situation, Kanol Cindy. So, I mean, she detailed her experience on YouTube, sharing the harrowing experience that she received. And she was even threatened, if we are teta or yema poliseni, uzawuvalwa kwa kule country. I mean, do you feel like, I mean, I know it's not your experience, but do you feel like enough is not being done to protect, I mean, those who are in other countries?
Perhaps it differs with the countries. Where we went, there's a rule of law. The people generally respect the law. So I think there was a time where I got mugged. And the police were helpful. They even tried.
Oh, you got mugged?
Yes.
But you didn't share that at the beginning.
I didn't. But those are general things that happen. I mean, if they see that this one, we can just mark him, they do that. But generally, the crime statistics there, they are really low. So it was just one of those moments that happened. But otherwise, the police were very helpful. Even the people around were very helpful.
Okay, let's take a look at some of the comments on social media as to what they have to say about this discussion that we have today. Right, Uchacha Uti, if only our government could take care of our graduates, then there wouldn't be a need to find employment overseas. Pinky Makaya says, no amount of money is worth your freedom. Come home. Positive vibes, Utiana. This is said, South African government must wake up and improve conditions in this country so nobody has to work outside and face abuse. Do you share the same sentiments?
Yeah, to be honest, we really need much support from the government, although there is support. But I think when it comes to departments that having the cohorts outside there should be giving more support to these kids, because it's very, very difficult to be in a foreign land where else you know that there's no one besides the group that you went with.
Part of the reason that you find young people moving abroad is to seek better opportunities. And I mean, you find graduates, they're unemployed, just like Kunol Cindy. So because, I mean, she wanted to transfer her skills at an international level, but unfortunately, and I mean, Ulight is bringing something here that, I mean, if we have a mediator like a government law as our Kinseki, so maybe we wouldn't find ourselves in this situation. What do you have to say about that?
Firstly, with us on the maritime side, we've got EMLC, which is the Maritime Labour Conventions. This caters for rights and responsibilities of employers and employees amongst on board. It really takes care. And another thing we've got Tina, we've got company procedures that you need to follow and that are in place that are very respected in the maritime industry. I to say from that, since I recently left, we had every month we've got feedback forms that you need to fill in and then send to the company. This is to keep track of what's going on. Is there any form of unfair treatment or anything like that, so that they can quickly get a hold of it. Any small thing you need to report, no matter, like, you shouldn't overlook it, because you never know what's the extent umntu can go after this.
Advice to young people who wish to pursue into zabo abroad?
From my side, I think it is good for them. It's good to engage with people from various parts of the world. It builds character. So if you really want to build your own character, build your own career, it's good that you go and explore other parts of the country or the world.
Yeah, I think for me, as a young citizen in South Africa, just know that the sky is the limit. I mean, we're coming from deep rural areas where one wouldn't have thought that we would go internationally. So, and there are so many opportunities that are available in South Africa for young people to pursue their dreams. And us coming from there, we know that anything is possible. So I think people should just give themselves a chance and take a risk, and then they will get the reward. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. Lindo Guhle, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you the very best in your future endeavors. Siyabulela kakhulu. Nani ke siyabulela kakhulu. Nani, all the best kuzintweni zenzayo.
Thank you so much.
Right, Mbukeliwe Expressions uzvele kaloku into yokubana, as a young person, the sky is the limit. So reach for those stars. You never know into yokubana kuzowenza kantoni. We are still talking about young people who are moving abroad. Bezama kaloku ukufumana amathuba angcono. Do you think enough is being done to protect young people from all the injustices that we have seen on social media? Make sure that you hit us up on our social media platforms. Silinde Koni. But for now, let's take a quick ad break. We continue with the discussion.
Welcome back. You're still watching Expressions right here on SABC 1. Thanks so very much for staying with us. And now we are still talking about the challenges faced by abantu abatsha that stay abroad. And we are asking, Ukuba, is perhaps enough being done to protect South African citizens staying or even working abroad? Perhaps what are some of the pros and cons that have to do in here? What do you as a young person have to say about this really important conversation? But let's check this out.
We have the South African embassy in every country, right? So you have to go to the embassy, right? Also, I love the fact that it's on social media, which means that we can actually confront the situation.
There's a reason why we have the SA embassy, right? So I think they should do their job properly. So I'll advise a person to just go to the SA embassy.
Every single country has their problems with regards to the workplace, for example. But I do think every country also has a justice system. So I think if anyone is mistreated in some way, shape or form, they can always appeal to a specific justice system.
You should also give them access to other communities that are that side, Black communities, educational communities, because it's not to say that there's no Black people that side that are also facing the same situations, but to be able to give them a pathway to those communities.
I feel like the more we talk about it, the more we have open conversations, that's when we're going to start dismantling this whole thing, right? But obviously, I feel like they should speak out. Social media, just blow it out of proportion.
Well, there you have it, Mbukeli, some of the young people, and really talking about, this pertinent conversation that we are having la ohlelweni namhlanje. But Nolusindi Swahleko and Dr. Sanele are still joining me just as we wrap up this conversation. Now, Dr. Sanele, perhaps from your understanding and your background of education, what sort of emotional state does Nolusindi find herself now, and how can she even remedy herself, if at all she has to?
I think she is very strong, I must say, and that video was a little bit, disturbing. And I wish her all the best. And of course, she hasn't. I wouldn't say she has an option of coming back home because home is still, high with unemployment rate. Yeah. But if she is really not feeling safe and uncomfortable being abroad, I think it would be best to come back and regroup. But if she is finding something somewhere else, I think it should be that case. And I wish that she increase the cycle of people that she can connect with, so that whenever something similar to this, she can always, talk to people who can assist, because living abroad, it can be quite a scary situation. And I wish our government could actually do more in trying to protect our young people who go out there. And it's quite disturbing that China is within the group that has been recently formed, and we have a good relationship with them. So I am quite disturbed that they treat especially South Africans like that.
All right. Well, although there isn't enough proof to even talk about the entire government of China, but I suppose I got your point there. Now, Nolusindiso, so just as we wrap this up, are you safe now? Because I understand you're in a different country?
Yes, I am.
Mm-hmm. And are you safe now? Are you okay? Are you still continuing to work?
Yeah, I have a job already, and I continue to find ways to improve myself. I think I'm that person. I'm constantly doing something. But yes, I am safe. I have a very small circle of people that have been amazing, extremely receptive, and I've never felt safer, and I've never felt much more at peace mentally.
Oh, that's great to hear. Well, thank you to you both for joining us namhlanje ohlelweni. And again, very sorry to what transpired to you, Nolusindiso. But just as Dr. Sanile said, you're very, very resilient and strong. But thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, well, Kolo, there you have it. It's really an important conversation, Yabantu, that visit abroad places because they want to, enlarge their territory and also get employment. But situations like these, they cannot continue happening.
Yeah, I mean, do you choose your peace or do you choose money? It was interesting to find out from young people on the streets sharing that, I mean, with the high rate of unemployment, I think what is important is umntu ajongisise into bana izinto zihamba kanjani before abe kanti uyaphesheya.
Absolutely. Well, to close us off namhlanje, we have Zinhle Kwaiman. What's the song?
Imithandazo.
Imithandazo. Bye-bye.
Ubomba mahlande nyu Yathanaza ubona imizamo yam Yathanaza ubona inhliziyo yam Sikhalazo zami zaziwa nguwe Khanyisa indlela mntomdala Khuthana ndibona ubumnyama Khokhela bawo khokhela Khokhela bawo khokhela Siyakhuleka makhosi Siyakhuleka kunizindlondlo Sichama kusha siguqa kuni Sicela impendulo Sizoyishisa impepho emsamo Sicele kunibadala Sivuma ukuba sonile kodwa kuni sicela impendulo Sicela impendulo